World borders and country divisions, an exploration of global geography. Borders are fundamental to the political and cultural structure of our world. They define the geographic limits of sovereign states, territories, and regions, influencing everything from politics and economics to cultural identity and global relations. The concept of borders is deeply intertwined with human history, shaping the development of nations and impacting global interaction. What are borders? Borders are the official boundaries that separate different countries, states, and territories. They can be natural, such as rivers, mountains, and oceans, or artificial, defined by human-made agreements, treaties, and negotiations. These divisions determine the extent of a nation's land, the resources it controls, and how it engages with its neighbors. Types of borders. Natural borders. These are physical features such as mountain ranges, example the Himalayas separating India and China, rivers like the Rhine separating France and Germany, and oceans that act as natural barriers between countries. They have historically been easier to defend and serve as clear indicators of territory. Artificial borders. These are man-made lines often drawn by colonial powers, agreements, or wars. These borders do not necessarily align with natural features or the cultural boundaries of the people living in the area. An example is the border between India and Pakistan, which was established during British colonial rule and does not always correspond to the cultural and ethnic divides in the region. Political borders. These borders are drawn by international recognition, often in the form of treaties, negotiations, or wars, such as the division of East and West Germany during the Cold War. These borders reflect the political divisions of the world and are often subject to change as new political entities emerge or dissolve. The role of borders in history. Borders have played a critical role throughout history, often marking the rise and fall of empires, the creation of nations, and the development of trade routes. Some of the world's most famous borders are tied to major historical events, such as the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which redrew European borders after World War I, or the division of the world into spheres of influence during the Cold War. Border disputes and conflicts. Some of the world's borders are the subject of ongoing disputes and conflicts. These disagreements often arise from historical grievances, ethnic tensions, or competition for resources. For instance, the border between India and Pakistan over the Kashmir region remains one of the most contentious areas globally, with both nations claiming the region as their own. Similarly, territorial disputes in the South China Sea, involving countries like China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and others, canter around competing claims for control over strategic islands and sea routes. Unrecognized or disputed borders. Some borders are not recognized by all countries, leading to the formation of unrecognized states or territories. The situation in Taiwan is one of the most well-known examples. Although Taiwan operates as a self-governing entity, China considers it part of its territory, and many countries do not officially recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. Similarly, regions like Western Sahara or Palestine have long-standing disputes regarding their status and borders. Impact of borders on culture and identity. Borders shape not only political systems but also cultures and identities. National borders often define linguistic, ethnic, and religious divisions, making them powerful symbols of cultural identity. For example, the French border separates distinct cultural and language groups from their neighbors in Belgium, Germany, and Switzerland, while the borders of many African nations split diverse ethnic groups into separate countries, sometimes resulting in tension and conflicts. Globalization and border erosion. In recent years, the process of globalization has made borders less significant in some ways. Economic cooperation, international trade, and the growth of multinational organizations like the European Union, EU, have blurred some of the distinctions between countries. The EU, for example, has allowed for the free movement of people, goods, and services across its borders, creating a sense of shared European identity. However, this trend also leads to tension, as some nations resist the erosion of their borders and sovereignty in the face of economic and political pressures. Conclusion. Borders, whether natural or artificial, political or cultural, are a crucial part of the world's geography. They represent the divisions of power, culture, and identity and shape the global landscape in profound ways. While some borders may seem immovable, they are often subject to change due to historical shifts, conflicts, and the evolving nature of international relations. Understanding world borders is essential not only for political science and geography but also for fostering a greater understanding of global cultures, histories, and conflicts.